We started Fat Toad Farm about 14 years ago when my sister and I moved back to Brookfield, which is where we grew up. And we just decided to start this crazy endeavor of farming, and it just kind of meandered its way over the years from starting as a small vegetable farm with lots of animals to becoming a goat's milk caramel company. My name is CALLEY Hastings, and I'm one of the co-owners of Fat Toad Farm. So we've always been a family-owned business. We just kind of started that way and happened organically over the years, where we kind of all came together and we wanted to work on the land and work with animals, and we really wanted to work together.
My name is Judith Irving, and I'm a co-founder of Fat Toad Farm.
My name's Steve REID. I'm one of the founders of Fat Toad Farm, and I'm the business manager.
My job here is taking in orders, filling orders, talking to all the customers. When my daughters came back from, one came back from Mexico, one came back from graduating from UVM, they had wanted to set up a more sustainable lifestyle with more farming than we were doing. Part of that was getting a couple goats.
My wife Judith and CALLEY will tell you is that I suggested at some point that we get a couple of goats so we could milk goats for our own use, and that was where the whole problem began.
And after a while we got a couple more goats, and after a while we had a couple more goats.
A couple of goats quickly becomes 4 goats, 8 goats, 16 goats, and so on.
And then all of a sudden we had a lot of milk, and that's when the idea of let's do something with this milk came up, and that's when we established Fat Toad Farm.
We came up with the name because we were trying to figure out what to name it, and we saw all these toads in the garden at that point, and they were just everywhere, and we just thought it was a really cool indication of biological health and diversity, and it was just kind of fun and whimsical and just stuck.
I think what makes Fat Toad Farm Caramel different is that we produce it in the old traditional way of doing it that we learned from Mexico, which is over a hot flame with copper pots, long period of time, so that you don't need or want any kind of additives that make the process go faster.
And there are many shortcuts you can take in food. You can add caramel coloring, you can use different equipment to make the cook time quicker, and all those shortcuts decrease the quality of the product. So we don't do shortcuts, so it takes time, but because of that, the end product is so complex because you have this amazing chemistry with the milk and the sugar and the heat that's happening over that time.
This is a product that's made by hand. Frankly, the only way it's different than the way it was made in the mountains of Mexico back in the 1800s is that we use propane to fire our stoves rather than wood, so we don't have quite as much wood ash.
So some people wonder what the difference is between cajeta, which is the goat's milk caramel sauce that we make, and dulce de leche, which is actually cow's milk caramel sauce. So it's actually a very similar process of cooking the milk slowly. Dulce de leche is more popular in South America, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and cajeta is more true to the Mexican traditional confection.
I think it's also unique because there's really only 2 or 3 ingredients. The majority of it is goat's milk.
Goat's milk. The goat's milk is very special. It's fresh goat's milk from Ayresbrook Goat Dairy just down the road. So it all comes from one source. It's an incredible goat's milk. They have an amazing farm. So I think all food starts, it's going to be as good as the initial ingredients that go into it.
Well, we were very fortunate at the beginning, once Ayresbrook Goat Dairy started, that we already had a friendship.
Well, we've known the Hoopers for a very, very long time. They're from this area, and when we were looking to increase our business and grow, we decided instead of doubling our farm size, because at that point we had like 80 goats, instead of trying to do that all here, we wanted to try to sell our herd of goats and be able to buy milk in from another farm.
My favorite part of the partnership actually has been my relationship with Miles Hooper in particular, who is the creative juice behind Ayresbrook Goat Dairy.
My name is Miles Hooper. My position on the farm is co-owner, co-manager, and just general grunt.
I'm DARYL Hooper, and I own the farm with Miles. We co-manage it together, and I do the herd health, but also I raise the babies.
The farm was started in 2012 as a partnership between Vermont Creamery and a group of philanthropic impact investors who had a particular interest in inciting a goat dairy industry in Vermont and creating a goat's milk supply. When we started the farm, we had the mindset that we needed to be masters at every aspect of the dairy. I think what we've just found that our lane is, and where we truly excel, is where we really just dedicate all of our time and resources to the animals and really pay very close attention to them, be sort of maniacal about the data collection, particularly with their individual ability to produce. I think in our youngest generation of animals, we expect to make 2,400 pounds of milk in a year per goat.
I love working here because it's interesting. Every day is different. It's fun. The goats have so much character and are so playful. It's meaningful. You know, we're contributing to Vermont agriculture, contributing to the food system, and trying to push forward and advance goat genetics and the industry itself.
The thing I love about having the goat farm and working here all the time is just how dynamic the job is, continuously trying to improve what we do here and these animals and the life that we provide for them.
Farming it's emotional. It uses your emotional side, your physical side, your intellectual side, your spiritual side. I mean, it's such a well-rounded endeavor.
It's pretty amazing to be able to just have this be your office and be able to have your dogs around and take a walk down the road and say hi to neighbors. And I think that's one of the nicest things about having your own business. There's a lot of stress and there's a lot of challenges, but at the end of the day, you are kind of in this little thing that you've created, and it's kind of neat.
Just the ability to be here in the outdoors, connected to the land every day, is my all-time favorite memory that I remake every day.
So I think one way that's actually my favorite way to eat the caramel is to pair with cheese, which isn't something that people often think about, but because it's sweet and savory, you get this awesome play between different cheeses and then the caramel. And because the caramel isn't just straight up sweet, again, it's milk-based, it's really complex, then you get all these like interesting flavors that come out with the cheese.
Well, you have to take a spoon, you take a jar, you put the spoon in the jar, you dip, you take it out of the jar and you put it in your mouth.
My favorite flavor is,
I'd have to say that original is my favorite flavor.
I'm always partial to Vermont maple because I'm a big maple fan in general.
vanilla bean, I would say, because it's really approachable. It's kind of got the like nostalgic caramel flavor going. So we've always sourced the true whole ingredients. So the vanilla beans are whole vanilla beans. We don't just add like little flecks and then an extract, which is actually pretty common. So I think that is a true commitment that it's actually not that easy to stay true to that kind of commitment in the food business because there's all these pressures to do it faster and cheaper. But we've stuck to that the whole time, and I think that's been a huge part of why we're still around, honestly.
It's a product that has a lot of integrity, and that's a reason to give it a try.